Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a monster 15-game slate for baseball. We have a couple weather issues on the slate, so do keep that in mind. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? Helps the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it. I also have some core plays here in Contreras, Josh Naylor, and Verdugo. Now, I'm going to profess and say that at first base, you could put Freddie Freeman if you pay down at pitcher or go super cheap at other positions, as he would also be a core play today as he's in Colorado. And his metrics are also off the charts, much like Naylor's. So both those guys are in play today. So let's go ahead and get into our pitchers, though. So our top P1 options are going to be Ohtani and Framer Valdez. Both of these guys face decent matchups, and they have some really good upside with max upside for that matter. They're the highest ceilings on the slate, I think. And both of them are very capable of having really good games here. Obviously, they're not perfect matchups, but they are good. Kevin Gossman and Clayton Kershaw are both contrarian options, as they have tougher matchups. Kershaw being in Colorado and Gossman against San Francisco. But they do have a lot of good upside and high floors today. As for some Hail Mary options in the P1, we have Joe Ryan as our top Hail Mary call, as he is facing Atlanta, and he's high risk, high reward here. He's more than capable of getting a lot of strikeouts here, but limiting the earned runs is going to be rather hard, but he is a great option for GPP, like contrarian options. So maybe into our P2 options, Bryce Elder is going to be our top overall P2 option against Minnesota. They have a good strikeout potential here, and he's had a lot of good games, and he's limited the earned runs quite a bit. Andrew Abbott for Cincinnati is also in play, as he's had several really good games so far this season. Though he is high risk, high reward, as I do like some Baltimore bats today, and they definitely have home run potential in this game. So he is an alternative. Ranger Suarez is also in play as kind of a contrarian play against the Cubs. I don't really like the Cubs all that much. I thought I was going to like them more when I looked at them, but he's been really solid lately. And while he might give up an earned run or two, his K rate has come up some, which is helping. But he is pretty risky today. You could also consider Brian Wu, Martin Perez, Garrett Whitlock, Yu Darvish, and Tyler Wells. They are all capable of having solid games today and decent matchups, so do keep all those guys in mind. As for the weather today, make sure to check out Kevin Roth WX on Twitter. He gives the best weather for Major League Baseball. I highly recommend. With that said, we do have one game where that is the Milwaukee New York Mets game has the biggest weather risk today. There's some other low risk games, but we'll know that information closer to start times of these games. Maybe in our catchers here, we're going to start with Will Smith. He draws really good metrics for this game. He has home run potential, but he has been somewhat inconsistent lately. But having this game in Colorado makes him usable. However, he is very expensive today, so do keep that in mind. William Contreras for Milwaukee is in play today with great metrics. He has home run potential. He's been hitting the ball decently well lately as well, and he draws really good upside for this game. I also like Cal Raleigh for Seattle, as he draws really good metrics for this game, though he's a little bit riskier than Contreras is, I think, but they both have nice home run potential today. And then Bo Naylor for Cleveland is a Hail Mary play. He's pretty much a strikeout or home run guy. He has not been good in the major leagues so far, but he definitely has some home run boomer bust potential here. You could also consider Yan Gomes, Danny Jansen, or JT Realmuto at this position. Moving to first base, we're going to start with Freddie Freeman, who is borderline. He was going to be my top play overall, but he's very expensive and hard to roster, especially if you pay it for a pitcher at all, because he's over $6,000. That said, he has massive home run potential here in Colorado. This game has a lot of potential here for the Dodgers. Josh Naylor, though, is cheap, and he has just as much upside almost as Freeman does, and so he is a core play as well. Cleveland is actually a really interesting team to stack today, I think, and so I do draw a lot from them, and I like his upside in this matchup. Nate Lowe is a good contrarian option today, as he's pretty cheap as well, and he draws nice metrics here, and I think Texas is going to want to bounce back after losing to Detroit yesterday. So I like his upside. And then Brandon Belt is also a value play. On the slate, he draws some really good metrics for this game, and he has some home run potential. He's also been hitting the ball pretty well lately, and I like his potential, especially with him being dirt cheap. Paul Goldschmidt, Vlad Jr., Pete Alonso, Brandon Drury, Christian Rocker, Justin Turner, Jose Abreu, and Ryan Noda are all in play at this position as well. A very deep position today at first base. Second base looks pretty similar, to be honest, with Jose Altuve being very expensive but also rosterable today. He's been somewhat inconsistent lately, but he definitely draws some potential if he plays. I really like his upside in this matchup with home run potential. We'll also look at Luis Arias, who for Miami has absolutely just been mashing the ball this season. He's at 399 batting average. He's not a big home run threat, but he definitely gets on base most games and scores some fantasy points. So he is very expensive and somewhat hard to roster as a result of that. Andres Jimenez is also another guy that doesn't really have a lot of home run upside, but he's hitting the ball pretty solidly lately, and I like his potential for fantasy points today. Kim for San Diego is also in play. He's also pretty cheap, and he does have some home run potential. In fact, he's had 3 home runs the last 4 games. He's just been hitting the ball really well recently, and I like his upside, and he's still pretty cheap. And then for a Hail Mary play, Vargas for the Dodgers, he's kind of got home run or bust potential here in Colorado in a nice plus matchup. You could also consider Marcus Semien, Eduardo Julian, Brandon Drury, and Matt McLean at this position. Second base surprisingly deep today as well. Obviously, with a lot of games, that helps. Jose Ramirez for Cleveland is a top tier option today. He has hit the ball pretty well lately. I like his home run upside as well, and he draws really good metrics here. Max Muncy is a contrarian play off of him. If he draws a start today, which it looks like he should be back, we'll have to wait and see if he does get in the lineup today. But if he does, he's got home run potential. Manny Machado is a contrarian option off of both of them, as he's hitting the ball pretty rough throughout the season, but he's hitting the ball better recently, so I like his potential here. Alex Bregman is about the best play I could find under $5,000, as he has hit the ball extremely well lately, and he has nice home run potential. You could also consider Austin Riley, Rafael Devers, Ella De La Cruz, Luis Urias, and Royce Lewis. I just felt like there wasn't a lot of value on this position. Moving to shortstops, we're going to start with Corey Seager, who's absolutely been hitting the ball well all season long. Though he hasn't been quite as good in the fantasy perspective the last few games, he does draw some nice potential in this one. Then Mookie Betts, if you want to go with the Dodgers stack, he's definitely somebody to do it with, as he's got big-time home run potential in this game. Javier Baez is a cheap option for kind of a contrarian play for Tigers today, as he has been inconsistent throughout the season, but occasionally he draws good metrics, and this is another game where he does. He definitely has the potential here, so he's somebody to consider. And then J.K. Crawford, who I really like today for Seattle, especially if you go with the Seattle stack. He's a guy I really like in the lineup. He's hitting the ball pretty well the last few games. I like his potential here, and he's very cheap as well. You could also consider Matt McLean, Ella De La Cruz, Ezekiel Tovar, Trey Turner, Bo Bichette, and Willie Adames at this position. Moving to outfielders, we have a lot of expensive plays available today. I mean, my gosh, I think there's like 15 or 20 over $5,000. My top ones are Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, Tatis Jr., Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and Julio Rodriguez. I think all 6 of those guys have some really good potential here. And have really good metrics for these games. Moving for our value plays, though, we'll start with Verdugo. Now, he should be back and activated today. He was on a break here, so he should be good to go today. And if he is in the lineup, he's going to be somebody I'm going to try to roster, as his price has come down quite a bit. Peralta for the Dodgers is also in play. If he draws a start, he's hitting the ball decently well when he started recently, though he doesn't tend to start every game. He definitely draws some good metrics, and he's cheap. James Outman is also in play for the Dodgers. He has not hit the ball well lately, but he's had a couple good games, though, in the last few, and that gives me some hope that he's getting out of the slump he's been in. His price has come up for this series against Colorado, but it's still cheap enough to roster here. Stephen Kwan for Cleveland is also in play as he draws really good metrics for this game, though he is somewhat high risk, high reward as he doesn't really have home run upside, but he does have some stolen base potential here. Austin Hayes for Baltimore is also in play. I do like Abbott as a pitcher, but I also think these Baltimore bats in the outfield have some really good metrics for this game, and so I like their potential here. I also like Santander as a great option as well, and both these guys were really solid yesterday, and I look for them to continue to be solid going forward in this series. Nemo is also in play for the Mets. Again, not a guy with a lot of home run upside, but he's hitting the ball pretty well, and he's scoring some fantasy points, so I do like his upside. And then finally, Mickey Maniac. If he does draw the start today, which I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup because he got hurt potentially yesterday, he has some really good metrics for this matchup, and I like his upside here. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.